Hey everybody, sorry it took me so long. Facebook decided that 2 minutes ago would be a good time to show me the new version of going live and have it not work, and I had to get it to switch back to get it to work. But here we are, Thursday. For some people this is Maundy Thursday, the Last Supper. As a kid I thought it was always Monday Thursday, but it's not. Maundy Thursday. It's Passover for others. For the rest of us it might be just Thursday or Friday Eve. Today we are reading 18 and 19, maybe 20 of Guardians of Magic, and we're getting to the middle of the story. We're about halfway, and it's fun. I didn't write much in the description today because of the kerfluffle with Facebook. I just wanted to get this going. Hope everybody's having a good day. Sounds like we're flattening the curve. That's great news. I was able to get an antibody test. I have not had the virus. I had good old-fashioned pneumonia. So clever me, I managed to get pneumonia, not the virus, during a pandemic. Hi, Diane. I hope everybody's having a good day. I am. I'm working on another Lyra book. The new covers look really cool. Two books are out today. The Lone Valkyrie book 2 and Magic Underground, the next, which is a Pressler Street book in the Terra Novice universe. Both of those books are in the Terra Novice universe. And it's a really cool universe where Earth, it turns out, is really a ship that was lost a long time ago and is stuck in the sun's orbit. And Maggie Parker is the one that started that whole universe. Lyra is the one who started the Orosarian universe. So let's start with chapter 18 from Guardians of Magic in the Lyra Chronicles. And, excuse me, where we left it, Lyra had just seen Rosden and was shocked to find out that she was alive and that Turner was working with her. And Lois is at her spot at the window. You can't see her, but she is. And I can hear Leela. She might join at some point too, especially if somebody dares to walk by the house. So here we go with chapter 18. Oh, and by the way, I'm planning on starting a garden in the back. And hello, Grace. Grace will have this up, by the way, on YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel by dinner time. So thank you, Grace. She is a great admin. This ship runs evenly because of Grace. And so if anybody has any good ideas, I want to create an English garden and leave part of it for vegetables and herbs. If anyone has any good ideas on plants that would grow well in Southeast Texas, that's not where I am, Central Texas, let me know. And if you have any ideas on design for kind of an English garden, I would love to hear it. So if you want to contribute to the house that the troll built, I would love to hear your ideas. Anyway, here is chapter 18. I brought a seltzer, so let's get started. And I will do my best to slow down. Lyra listened to as much of Rosalind's stories as she could stand, long into the night. She paced the room, taking breaks to run around the estate, digesting as much as she could, only to come back and listen to more. Rosden laid out her entire sordid life, trying to leave out some details, but Lyra pressed her for every corner. On one of the runs, she circled the estate again and again as Turner stood at the window, watching her under the moonlight. They were getting to Rosden's years as the false prophet, and Cork's name came up. Lyra bolted for a run, leaving Rosden in mid-sentence. She lapped the house several times, finally stopping on the back lawn by the lake, leaping over a cement gnome, sweat dripping off the tip of her nose. I still want revenge, some taste of it. She pulled out her phone to call Hagen and hash it out with him. He might be able to see it as a case, despite everything, but she saw the time, 4 a.m. Hello? Corrick, did I wake you? She had wanted to wait to tell him, but she knew there was never going to be an easy time. This would wound him deeply, that Rosden held the key to anything, and that they would have to take her help. That was the thing churning inside of Lyra. The bitch still had the power to hurt someone Lyra cared about, and there was nothing she could do to stop it except tell the truth. No, yeah, kind of. I was waiting up, but I must have dozed off. Where are you? Did something happen? She heard the concern in his voice, followed by a giant yawn, and instantly thought of a joke, something to make him laugh. But she bit her lip, hesitating. You still there? Hello? He should hear it from me. I'm here at Turner Underwood's place. He has Rosden. She showed up to help. Her voice cracked in the middle, and she pressed her lips together, determined to let Quirk talk it out. But instead, there was silence. For once, she broke one of Hagen's rules and talked first. Okay, I guess it's my turn. You still there? Fuck, caring about someone. She could feel how fast her heart was beating. Cork let out the breath he was holding, resting his head in his hand. He sat forward on the couch, trying to figure out what to say. He thought of his days next to the king. Stick to the mission when you don't know what else to do. Has she given us anything useful? Lyra's eyes were glistening as she looked up at the stars. All of it. She's dying, and she says she's trying to make things right before that happens. Something cliche about the error of her ways. You believe her? Not for a minute. But her intel could help us figure out what the hell is going on and how to get ahead of it before there's some kind of war. I keep picturing shifters running loose like a bad remake of Werewolf of London, but this version would have the army involved. I saw one tear a powerful witch's throat out. She didn't stand a chance. He was enormous and came walking out of the dark mist. Nana showed up at just the right moment. It was bad. Silence fell between them, and Lyra just let it be for a moment. Frogs sang down by the water. Nana said he was her tormentor in the world in between. That beast or shifter from hell ran the joint. Lucius. You're talking about Lucius. He was a friend of my father's. We never knew what happened to him. Cork was making himself take deep, slow breaths, even if his fist was clenched at his side. You know about that. Turner told me that much. He looked over at the red velvet chair where Lyra always dropped her purse and her blue and orange running shoes, her favorites, one on top of the other by the door. I can do this. I can do this for the greater good. He pounded his fist on the couch, willing it to be true. Get what you can out of her. Do something with it that will help as many as possible. Lyra blurted out the words. I'll walk this with you. We'll face all of this together. Her words tripped over each other. Damn, I didn't know I had this much awkward in me. Too late now. Might as well keep going. I know we face things together already, but that's just because you were assigned to watch over me. Get to the point. I'll look out for you because I want to. Lyra, my assignment ended a long time ago. He managed to let out a small laugh. I'm here because I want to be. I'm here because I woke up from almost dying, and all I could think of was coming back here to be by you. You can be a little slow on the uptake. You take a fireball to the head? She let out a deep breath, relieved. More like I was standing in the middle of a shifter stampede and lived to tell about it. She looked back up at the stars, trying to remember the constellations of Orisarin. I meant what I said. I'll walk through this with you. May have to be a slow walk. Still not the best at the whole feeling thing, but I'll do it. Cork? I wanted to ask her so many questions, to make Rosden suffer. But then I felt my mother's energy and Nana's energy, and I was wrapped in it, and I couldn't do it. But what she did to you, she didn't succeed. I'm still here and in one piece. Get what you can out of her, and we'll compare notes. We should tell the gardener. Parham thinks he knows more about shifters than he's telling us. Come home soon. We'll make a plan. There may not be a fast solution. According to Rosden, you have to get close to a shifter to remove the darkness, and there's that whole fangs and claws things. We'll get everyone to meet at the sanctuary and work out a plan that can adapt when necessary. Probably daily. I should get back in there and get a little more before I take off. Yumfuck was with me, but he took off. Said something about cleaning up the streets. He is Batfuck. You could have stopped him. He can take care of himself. You should have seen him fight today. He is a badass superhero. I'll be here when you get back, unless the fixer alarm goes off. This is a much weirder life than I was anticipating a year ago. We're just getting started. Go get what you can and get home. Lyra hung up the phone before she realized she hadn't told Cork everything. Tess is alive and living under Paris. She shook her head. Information overload. Her brain was already swimming from all the information. There's time to tell him everything. I need a shower, a nap, and a breakfast taco. I'm not sure in what order, and I'm talking to myself. Fuck me. She stretched her back and took one last look up at the moon. I can do this. We can do this. Yumfuck Tiberius Troll stood on the curb on the east side of Austin in the dim light of a street lamp, wearing his blue cape and mask, slightly worse for wear from the fight at the vineyard. At the last moment, he had remembered to gather them up on their way back to the portal. The cape had a rip from a claw, trampled by the shifters as they ran, and the mask was covered in dirt stains. Troll didn't care. I am Batfuck. He puffed out his chest and put his hands on his hips, turning in a circle, looking for trouble. He jumped onto a nearby parked car and scrambled over the top, landing on the hood to get a better view. Nothing. A silver Honda Accord was sliding to a stop next to him, and he saw his chance, leaping onto the roof and hanging 10 over the edge of the front window, his arms out like he was riding a wave, his cape flying behind him. The car turned a corner as they passed a Ford Explorer, and a sleepy child raised his head in the back seat. Hey, it's Mighty Mouse. He's real. The boy pressed his nose up against the glass, turning in his seat as the Honda pulled away from them. The troll spotted the boy and waved, flexing his muscles. I am Batfuck, he chirped. Go back to sleep, Joey, you're dreaming. The Honda drove toward the frontage road to the interstate, and Yumfuck leapt onto a passing red truck just in time. He wanted to stay in the neighborhood streets. Better chance of finding a crime to stop. The truck stopped at a convenience store, and the troll overheard the driver calling his wife and telling her he'd be home in a few minutes with the diapers. No action here. The troll climbed up to the roof of the cab and held on as the truck finally got going again, pulling out of the parking lot. He saw his chance and jumped to a BMW, hooking his claws under the seam of the convertible's roof, making it possible for him to stand up even as the car picked up speed. But before he could do anything about it, the car easily pulled onto the highway headed north. Uh-oh. The troll's cheeks flapped in the wind from the rush of air as he watched the signs fly by. Pflugerville, Round Rock, Georgetown. A semi hauling furniture pulled up behind the BMW, its lights shining directly on Yumfuck, who turned and pumped his little arm, startling the tired driver who obliged, and pulled the air horn right before he got off at the next exit to sleep for the night. I am more tired than I thought. My hallucinations are waving at me. By the time the sun rose, Yumfuck was in Waco at a cattle ranch listening to the lowing of a herd of longhorns. Damn, wrong outfit. Should have worn my boots. Next time. Aloha, motherfuckers. He waved to the cattle, who looked up for a moment and quietly went back to chewing the grass. Few hiccups, but a pretty good start. Rescued a cat, went on an adventure, check and check. Chapter 19. Hello, Nancy and Mike and Tracy. Glad you're here. And Mike, I'm glad you keep finding us, even if you're never sure if you're going to or when you get here. I'm still glad you're here. So chapter 19. Charlie Monahan sat behind his desk in his home office stewing. No one was taking his calls anymore. His eyes were sunken and his skin was ashen from a lack of sleep, and he was wearing the same shirt from a few days ago. Everything he had so meticulously built was falling apart. The board had held a meeting to make him emeritus and remove all daily duties, stripping him of power. They expected a fight, but the blackouts were becoming more frequent, and there wasn't much fight left in him. What there was left of his old voracious ambition was focused on holding the bits and pieces of his sanity together, and that wasn't working either, and he knew it. His wife had left their home along River Road in Richmond and gone to stay with her sister in the Hamptons for a while, until Charlie could get his shit together. He roamed the house at night, staring at old photographs taken at political rallies and fundraisers where he was one of the stars. All gone. He wandered out of his office and headed for the kitchen, toasting a photo hanging in the hallway of himself and the governor, raising a Waterford glass of 2 fingers worth of Ragged Branch bourbon. How the hell did I get here? He took a healthy swallow and set the glass down on a tall, skinny mahogany table set by the stairs. Somebody has to still owe me something. I knew too much. That has to still be a card I could play. What if I started talking about all the Orsaran food getting ground into people's cornflakes? I can crawl my way back if I have to. He wrapped his hands around his head and squeezed tight, shutting his eyes. No, can't let in any distractions. Doctor said there's nothing wrong with me that a vacation couldn't fix. He wiped his sweaty face on the sleeve of his pale blue cotton button-down shirt and shook his head hard. I'll take a vacation when someone takes my goddamn phone calls. His shouts echoed in the empty house. He pulled out his cell phone and dialed Senator Thatcher's office, standing up straighter to get into character. I can do this, just like a million other times. Senator Thatcher's office. Hey, Wendy, it's Charlie Monahan. Can you put me through? There was a slight pause. Something new. The senator is in with constituents, but I can let him know you called. Was there a message? Same kind of bullshit message I tell my secretary to tell people. It wasn't helping his mood. You can tell the son of a bitch I have a long fucking memory and to put me back on the list of acceptable callers. He hung up before Wendy could answer him in what he knew would be the same, even, light tone. He picked up the glass and threw back the rest of the bourbon and headed back to his office. The spinning relic still sat on his desk, mocking him. You were the start of my problems. I blame you. Had to go playing with magic. He rested his fingertips lightly on the edge of the metal, surprised it wasn't sparking or burning his skin. He gave the artifact a gentle spin, listening to the low-pitched moan it gave off as he poured himself another bourbon. I can make them fear you. What? Charlie looked up, feeling the edge of the darkness coming over him. It happened a lot lately, just before a blackout. He was finding himself in strange places more and more, standing on a train platform at 126 in New York City during the morning commute, or walking down 6th Street in Austin, or even standing in the backyard of Senator Alan Casey's home in Hanover County, staring up at an old oak tree in the middle of the night. The howl of distant wolves startled him out of his stupor that time, sending a chill down his spine. Wolves in Richmond? Really? You want them to fear you? I can do that for you. Open yourself to me. You can still have it all. No need to settle. The voice was female, low and soothing, familiar. She had been whispering to him for weeks. My only fucking friend is a porn star in my head. Perfect. He swished the bourbon around in his mouth and swallowed. Open yourself to me. Take back what's rightfully yours. Make them fear you. Charlie looked out the window at his lawn, still perfect, carefully tended to by the service that came like clockwork. He blinked his eyes, trying to remember what time of day it was, and looked down at his wrist, startled to find his favorite watch wasn't resting there. Somehow, that unmoored him most of all. He looked up at the ceiling. Yeah, okay, why not? It's been Freaky Friday for some time now. Portals to different worlds, pointy-eared men who can throw a mean fireball. Why not an invisible helper? Sure, go for it. I'm all yours. Charlie distractedly drank down more bourbon, waving his arm. I mean, what else can I lose at this point? The dark mist seeped in from every corner, sliding toward Charlie. But it took a moment for him to notice, and another for it to register with him that something was wrong. It was the unusual smell that he noticed first. Unpleasant, but he couldn't quite put his finger on it. His eyes turned completely black as the mist crept closer. What the fuck? He dropped the glass, the crystal banging with a thud and a slight bounce against the thick Persian carpet, rolling onto the wood floor. Charlie's body shook as he sunk to his knees, his eyes wide with fear, the darkness creeping up through his veins. Not like this. It was his last words, dropping off into a low moan as the dark mist enveloped him, completely sucking him into the world in between, leaving behind a damp smell of bourbon on the rug, but no other sign of whatever happened to Charlie Monahan. Lucius rolled his head to the side, stretching his neck. He was in human form, dressed in the clothes he stole from a house near the Napa estate. He could feel the mist gathering strength from more volunteers who played too long in dark magic and gave in to the call. A human will have to do. He had gotten used to the draw of energy and was good at telling when the body that was claimed was magical or not. He smiled, craving a shift into the beast but resisting the urge. The connection to the other side of the veil was strong, but there was the mission, still. Hunt down Rosden. He could feel her presence in the world. The dark mist had other plans and was trying to turn his head and get him to search for more energy, go after Lyra Barons. He was happy to oblige, but that was second on his agenda. His muscles ached and his skin rippled along his back as he stopped just on the edge of shifting into the animal. Not right now. Time to do some recon. You'll get what you want, soon enough. The darkness was like a bad marriage for Lucius that he couldn't quite shake and instead had to make compromises where everyone at least got their piece of hell. Why don't we do one more? Chapter 20. Hi, Charlie. Glad you're here. And we'll do one more. The troll rolled into the guest house after breakfast looking for food, still wearing his cape and mask. Whoa there. Lyra picked him up and held him out in front of her. What is that smell? Why do you smell like... She held him just a little closer to her face. Is that cow manure? Tell me you weren't tipping cows. That's not nice, you know. You can tip a cow? Squeaked the troll, giving her a wink. Not exactly an answer. She carried Yumfuck to the kitchen and pulled out an old plastic bucket from under the sink, filling it with a few inches of warm water and squirting dish soap in it. Think of this as a bathtub with bubbles. Go for it. There's bacon in it for you afterwards. You had me at bacon. The troll dropped the dirty mask and cape, draping them over the sides, and dove headfirst into the water, doing the backstroke around the edge. Estelle's making breakfast for me. The woman has some weird radar. She can always tell when I need comfort food. Try scrubbing off some of that while I'm gone. I'll even see if I can wrangle a pancake for you. It's like a flat donut. Lyra went outside and found Korik sitting by himself sipping coffee. Estelle was behind the bar, standing on her step stool drying glasses, occasionally glancing backward toward the kitchen. Estelle came over with another mug and a fresh pot of coffee, setting both down in front of Lyra. Chow will be out in a few. You two take a load off. A cigarette bobbled between her lips as she spoke. She blew a perfect stream of smoke just as the wind picked up, blowing it back around her head. She closed one eye and breathed in deeper, blowing out more smoke as she headed back inside the bar. Sure she's not magical? I check all the time, said Korik, pouring coffee into Lyra's mug and pushing it toward her. 100% Texan. Hell, maybe that's its own kind of hellacious magic. Mom would agree with that. Lyra crossed her legs, trying to figure out how to start. Not a good way. You okay? Look, I'm not good at checking on others. Not a lot of practice. Hagen will tell you I kind of suck at it. I mean, if you're in trouble, I know how to run in and do my best, but this is the most you've babbled the entire time I've known you. Lyra gave him a crooked smile. Yeah, I think we've entered the awkward phase. Speak for yourself. Yeah, plenty of past elven conquests. Smooth and you're an effing liar. You didn't answer me. You doing okay knowing Rosin is just across town living in really nice digs with your fearless mentor? Korik clenched his jaw but tried to hide it by drinking from his mug, but Lyra saw it. I'm making peace with it. It's not the first time I've had to let go of revenge, probably not the last. The world got more complicated since we fought her on Lavender Rock, and the stakes got higher. I can do something foolish and finally kill the bitch and lose the chance to put down the dark wizarding families before things escalate. Maybe even give away Lucius' chance at getting back his old life. He fell silent as Lyra reached across the table and took his hand, lacing her fingers with his. When you put it that way, it doesn't seem fair to steal that from him. Despite what he's become, none of this was his idea. You're a good man, Korik. The gate swung open and Lyra quickly pulled her hand back, not ready to broadcast to the world. She felt her face warm as Korik smiled, arching an eyebrow. Too much PDA, he whispered. Not enough practice. Still better at battling dark forces than just holding your hand. Not embarrassing at all. Like I'm back in 8th grade, but I can carry a gun and shoot off fireballs. Ah, you do know how to talk dirty. This is a surprising side of you, like finding the good prize in your Cracker Jacks. It's a classic snack that came with a prize. So much goodness yet to discover. I can tell our trash talk is going to consist mostly of trashy food. We'll see. Korik held up his hands and quickly made a small ball of light with a storm inside of it, handing it over to Lyra. Okay, elven gifts. Better than flowers, but why the storm thing? Patience. Lyra held the small orb in the palm of her hand and watched as the storm passed and the northern lights shone inside. Yeah, better than flowers. The ball was slowly pulled apart by the wind, still blowing across the patio, the blue and green light still trailing behind it. Hagen came through the opening, striding over to the table, carrying a familiar pink box. I figured you could use some of the good stuff after yesterday. He set the box down on the table and looked around for a clean mug. You think Estella's any behind the bar? Hang on. He ran behind the bar and was bent over digging around on a shelf when Estelle came out swatting him with a bar towel. Hagen stood up, backing up with his hands out. Okay, I invaded your territory, just looking for a mug. Estelle gave out a disgruntled harumph and handed him a mug, one hand on her hip, as she looked over at Korik and Lyra. What? Hagen looked in the same direction but didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I brought donuts. Do I smell bacon? Can I get in on some of that? He thought for sure he heard Estelle mumble some detective as she went back into the bar. Thanks for sending Lois yesterday. Lyra looked inside the box and pulled out a chocolate cake donut. Wish I could have done more. Not used to being backup. Felt kind of weird. Rose says I'll get used to it. Estelle brought over a large tray that dwarfed her small figure, easily balancing it as she set down 3 plates, still giving side-eye to Hagen. She went back inside without another word. Did I do something to her? I can be this kind of brave. Lyra took Coric's hand and held on, giving Hagen a crooked smile. Hagen was still rustling around in the box, and he looked up with a cruller in his hands, his mouth wide open. Oh, ooh, huh. Well, I'll be. You are still full of surprises, Barons. I suppose this means I'll lose the bet with Rose and Yumfuck. I swore you'd have to retire first before you'd really notice men. Rose picked a couple years from now. Gotta give it to the small furry one. He said this spring. Ironically, I got to shell out $20 to him. Again, don't ask. Hagen bit down on half the cruller, pleased with himself as Lyra gave him a dead fish look. There you go. That's Lyra I know. A little hand-holding, a menacing look. I get why the red-headed firecracker's not too happy with my timing. Figures, it's about my usual. Hey, does anyone know how Yumfuck got my number at home? He left Rose a message. I had to explain to her who was making that high-pitched cackle on her answering machine and what a troll is. Something about a new cape and a mask? Lyra smiled, watching her old partner finish chewing one donut while he searched for another one. Where is Yumfuck anyway? Don't get up. I'll take some of this to him, pay off my debt. Hagen carried his plate, piling on a couple more donuts as he walked away whistling. Most graceful exit ever. Lyra had never heard him whistle, even standing in front of the food trucks. Pretty bold move on your part, taking my hand like that. Meant when I said, Coric, I'll walk this with you. We don't have to fight the world alone anymore. That's a good place to end. And yeah, it's a nice thought for the day. We don't have to fight this world alone anymore. I know we're all sitting in our pods, basically, and we have been for about a month. But we don't have to do it alone. We can reach out to each other. We can talk to each other. We can Zoom, FaceTime, and we can just find ways. Make sure you're getting outside a little, if that's allowed in the city where you are, and seeing nature. It is spring in most of the world. I guess it's heading into fall in Australia and that side of the world. But get out and see a little nature, take a walk. Think about what would you want to do when you can mingle again, and think about what you can create while you're inside. Like I said, I'm planting a garden in the back, and so any ideas on plants you can plant in Central Texas. I want it to be an English garden with a raised vegetable bed with herbs. Any design ideas or cool things you've seen, send them my way. I would love to see them. I talked to one design firm and they said it should cost 20% of the value of the house. That's not going to happen. I'm not trying to create the Taj Mahal, and the chairs will not be gold. So I'll reach out to my community and find out more. I hope you all have a great day. Continue to write to me. I answer everyone who does. The Wonderful Grace keeps posting things that you guys can do to, and we can play together. And I hope you have a great day. Mow the lawn. Mike, the lawn already gets mowed. I'm trying to go a little bigger than mow the lawn, but that's a good idea. And stay safe. Try and have a little fun today. And I love you all, and I will see you tomorrow, Friday, for chapter 21. And I will talk to you later.